Yes, 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 yes. What's going on, family? What is happening? What is happening? Wow, I am super excited about today's show for a few reasons. The first thing that I would like to do is to introduce you um, to the new Sojourner Studios here, right? Um, this is the new digs, man. This is the new setup. You know, the new year started yesterday. The Lunar New Year. You know, there's nothing that's really significant that happens on January 1st. Y'all do know that. But in case you didn't, nothing really happened on January 1st. But yesterday, or yes, the day before, is the Lunar New Year. So this is the new digs, man. This is the new digs. Welcome. Um, and along with the new studio, listen, some things are about to shift right now. Let me just say this to you before I even get into the show. Before I even go there, before we even get into relationships, which I know all of you are excited to talk about because we got some really good stuff lined up for you today. Some things about to change around here, right? You know, you gotta level up. So you're gonna see some level up. You see, I got Pops down there. You got the dope on. Listen, the studio. I got the Aztec calendar popping right there. It's. Come on, man. Come on. I'm glad you guys like the studio. You ladies and gentlemen like the studio. And along with that, yes. Oh, Sammy's an ox. Yeah, you see the statues up there. I got Sebek Ampu rocking to the back of me. Yeah, Joy. You know I gotta level up. I gotta keep it interesting. I gotta keep it on it. You know, keep stuff on its toes. So this is the new studio, man. And if you could see, I'm really like these are all windows right here. Like I'm just looking out into the work. Like I said it. My cup runneth over so much that I gotta sip out the saucer. That's where I am with it. I gotta sip out the saucer. I'm so blessed at this point. And I want you all to be blessed too. So for those of you, this is your first time tuning in, let me go through the basics with you right now because I'm really super happy, super excited to have you here. First of all, let me shout out all my people who are over in Crowdcast. You know the deal. I do it over on Facebook. It's a double sign. I'm also on over on YouTube, all at the same time. But this is where the Crowdcast is where the magic happens. That's where I can pull people on screen, where I can talk to you. You know, this is where it's happening. So let me shout out my Crowdcast folks. And before I shout them out, let me go ahead and put it over in Facebook. So if you want to join me over on Crowdcast, you can do so. So let me shout out my Crowdcast people. I see Hannah's in the house, Ashley's in the house, Cass Love is in the house, Sasa, Diamond, my sister Benny. Oh, Benny's in the house, and Benny and Ruth. Let me turn this up one more time for you. This is for Benny and Ruth being in the studio. So, you know, if I would have known that y'all was here already, I would have did this. Let's take another minute. Here we go. There you go, Sammy. To all my island folks, man.
The pressures of your life.
There we go.
No stay down, mama, time pick it up. No matter with the down, full style, strictly up.
There we go. I know my girl Jenna, she loves that reggae vibe too. Alright, so listen, I got an intro. I want y'all to tell me what y'all think of the new intro, alright? Because I wanted to frame up for people who are not familiar with us, what we do on the Sojourner podcast. I wanted to really sum up what it is that we're doing. So y'all let me know how that goes, right? What y'all feeling about this? What's up, Kenya? It's good to see you, sister. All right, so check it out. Here it is. Here's the intro. What are we doing here today? Right? What is it that we're doing here? And so this show is for soul travelers, those who appreciate and are seeking to imbibe the following 8 success tenets. Again, this show is for soul travelers, those who appreciate and are seeking to imbibe the following sacred 8 life success tenets. And we as sojourners intuitively know, and we're going to count the 8. First, our lives happen through us, not to us. Let me say that again. Our lives happen through us, not to us. Therefore, we know that in truth, that we are no victims and no villains. We just experience life experiences to grow from. Therefore, we don't seek to shame or blame anyone for our own lived circumstances. That's number 2. No victims, no villains, just life experiences for us to grow from. Therefore, we don't seek to shame or blame anyone for our own lived circumstances. 3, there are obstacles that all obstacles are simply and truly just opportunities for us to manifest our creative power, and therefore nothing, say that one more again, therefore nothing, say that one more time for the people in back, therefore nothing and no one is ever truly against us. Or as our Asian ancestors used to say, everything always furthers. Number 4, and we also know that our everyday lived reality is created from the inside out, not from the outside in. Therefore, we should welcome all challenges and challengers, because where there are no challenges, where there are no challengers, there is no growth, and where there is no growth, there is no power. Asamalahaya. Oh, shoot. I had to drink some water on that one myself. We'll get to water in just a second. Number 6, and that we consciously create our lives through our everyday free choices that we make. 7, we hold all the keys to all the locked doors and all the power to manifest and co-create what we will, because in our hearts we understand and believe, number 8, that we are our ancestors' wildest dreams manifested. Ashe, amen, aho. Welcome to the Sojourner Success Lifestyle Podcast with me, your host, H. Soul. So for the next hour or so, we're going to explore the universal success sciences as we embark on decolonizing and demystifying the keys to life success, healing our minds, our bodies, our souls, as we remove the generational curses by enlightening our ignorance and embracing universal truths. Now, family, let's get to work. Let's get to work. W-E-R-K. My man Shabazz said, yesterday he sent me this post, and he said, oh, I thought y'all was just saying that. Work actually means something. Yes, work means something. W-E-R-K, work. So let's get it in. Let's get it in. We only have one real thing going on here, and that is water. In case you can't see it, that's this panel right here. That panel says water. That's going to look different next week, by the way, so just get a good look at it. It's dope, but we got something super dope coming. Water. So what happens is throughout this show, we will hit points of power inside the show. And when we hit a point of power, I am going to, because I'm feeling the Holy Spirit, Asamalahaya, that I will say water. And when I say water, I'm going to drink. And you should be drinking too. So it's like we're toasting each other. So when I move, you move just like that. So when I say water, you take a drink of water. So you should have a thing of water right next to you. And that's my only rule. That's all we got. All right. So let's hop into it because I'm really excited about today's show. We got a lot of stuff going on. As I had already mentioned, we had the Lunar New Year started yesterday, which was super dope, super exciting. For those of you, I'm not going to forget any of my people over on Facebook. What's up, Transformation, Clark Ray? I can't see the rest of the people that have commented over there, but I shout out all my Facebook family. What's up, y'all? Thank you for tuning in. It's good to have you here. We're going to be here for an hour working through some dope stuff. So thank you. Welcome. And so with that said, what I would like to do is to wish you all a happy new year. We got to do that. And along with wishing you a happy new year. Oh, so Heather, right on. I will, she typed it all out as I was talking. See, y'all are dope. Y'all are dope. Heather, if you are in Denver, which I think you are, we got a float for you. Somebody, Heather gets our water award of the day. You already get the water award of the day, sis. Make sure, Sasa, could you make sure that she gets a water float coupon? That's just dope. She already had it there. Perfect. Okay, so let's hop into it. Oh, it is Love Day. Lord, listen. Let me take a drink of water right off the tip top. Listen. This is there's so much banking on. There's a lot of people that are banking on what's happening today, right? Some of y'all gonna have some really highs and some really lows because you measure so much onto what's going on today. And so I thought it would be, for those of you who tuned in a couple of weeks ago, I told a story about how I did this. I did this sound bowl healing session. And, I'm not going to even lie. I was like, okay, doing the sound bowl healing session, I've never done it before. What is this going to entail? What's going to be the experience? And it was a cool experience. Sister Z led me through it. It was dope. We meditated. She fixed Caribbean food afterwards. It was dope. That night, I had a real powerful dream where I woke up, where I was in my sleep crying, and then I woke up crying, and then that has sent me down a whole nother rabbit hole as far as healing is concerned. So then I had a conversation. I'm going to just tell you the briefing, what came out of it. Then I had a conversation with my madre, with my mother, and she told me a story about my father. Listen, this healing journey is no joke. It is no joke. So she tells me a story about the last conversation she had with my father, the very last one. And he was asking for forgiveness for their failed marriage, which had happened 42 years prior. For real. And it's the last time that they ever talked. And then it was from that conversation that I discover what my next book is going to be about. And so my team has tasked me with producing another book this year on this particular topic of men, health, healing, all of that. And so this is not the book that I just gave to the editor. This is the next book. So men and women who love men, get ready for this next book. It's going to be super powerful. It's going to be super powerful. So I say all that to say that I want us to look at this conversation around better to love and have lost and recovering from broken relationships. Because what I realized, which is the story that I was relaying, is that I have not healed completely from my divorce that happened 10 years ago, and it impacts every day my relationships that I have, both intimate and outside of my intimate circle, just relationships overall. And so when I'm scrolling Facebook, I see this how people are perpetually single. And you have people who are perpetually single and here. Then you have people who are in relationships that are unfulfilled here. And then what begins to happen is that this whole thing around relationships is just truly a hot ass mess, because there's really no understanding of the purpose of relationships. And I say this in the beginning of the show when I give out our eight tenets. The purpose of relationships in Western society is completely different than our ancestral indigenous understanding of what relationships are for. Relationships are for the same thing that our ancients would say that life is for, and that is to come here to grow. Not to get roses, although that's nice. Not to get chocolate, although that's nice. Not just to procreate, because that too is nice. Not to post pictures and get Facebook likes and Instagram, and that is not what relationships are for. Relationships are for growth. Period. That is what they're for. But the irony is because that's not in our paradigm of what relationships are for, when we get inside of situations that are forcing us to grow, we jump out of the relationship. We either shut down or we actually bounce. Both are a form of bouncing. When you shut down to relating anymore, you've bounced. And mentally, so I've had both. I've had the experience of being in a relationship with someone that is checked out of the relationship, but their physical body's still there, but they've bounced. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Some of y'all do it. Some of y'all have had it done to you. Where your body is there, there used to be a song back in the 80s. What was the song? Your body's here with me, but your mind is on the other side of town. I forgot who sang it. It was somebody like the OJs or something. I'm not going to try to sing it for you, but it was a dope little click. So you get inside of a situation and people exit outside, they exit the relationship mentally or physically or both. And they miss the blessing. Listen to it. This is about to be a water moment. They miss the blessing because they eject themselves out of the relationship because the relationship is going through a challenge, when in fact the challenge is what's really the purpose of the relationship, so that you can grow. The love that you experience in the relationship is because you stay in it and you work through it and you grow beyond whatever the situation is. Asamalahaya. Let me water. And it's because of this that so many of us have been in 14 million relationships since the time we was 15. And then we teach our children the same thing. And then all of a sudden, Valentine's Day shows up, and all of a sudden you want everything to be magically delicious. Like the Lucky Charms do. Everything's supposed to be magically delicious now, right? Even though I haven't I have the wrong idea of what relationships are for. I've either shut down emotionally or I've left physically. And I am now in the process. This is the third piece that I want you to peep out. Then what you do, oh shit, this is about to be another water moment. Then what you do is once you shut down or shut out or bounce, then guess what you do then to perpetuate it? And this is for my chronically single people. You perpetuate it by then blaming the other gender or the other person for the failure of the relationship because you failed to understand what the relationship was for and you bounced. You left. So now, excuse me, my white friends, my white friends who are tuned in right now, I want you to excuse me for what I'm about to say. And don't you try to say it at home or in the streets. Now that you've experienced a series of failed relationships because you have an incorrect paradigm, because your tuner is off, based upon the fact that you've never been educated about what relationships are really for and what to expect because you grew up on Disneyland, you grew up on love songs, you grew up on Prince, you grew up on Michael Jackson, you grew up on Whitney Houston, you grew up on the slow rain, you grew up on love songs, R. Kelly, you grew up on all of that, and all these messages, all these incorrect, corrupt messages are coming through your brain. So when you're in a relationship, the only education that you have about relationships, it doesn't come from people who've had successful relationships. The education that you receive about relationships come from people who have failed, multiple failed relationships. Prince was married 3 times, and he's one of the greatest love song people ever. Luther Vandross, all these people that are out here penning these love songs have failed relationships, and yet they're crooning into your ear about what should happen inside of relationships. Listen, in ancient societies, in order to sing, in order to be a musician, you had to be a priest at the same time. Asama Lahaya, water. Do you understand what I'm saying? In order to pick up a microphone in ancient days, you actually had to be a priest. You had to be somebody who understood the paradigms, the fundamental truths of life. You just couldn't have a good voice. Y'all know black people. Y'all know brown people. Everybody and their mama can sing. So it wasn't about how good of a singer you were. It was the fact that you had to be initiated into the deeper sciences of life so that when you opened your mouth and you used your tool, you used your vessel to communicate with people, that you weren't singing about no bullshit. Now every love song you got out there is full of bullshit. Yes, it sounds good. Yes, it makes you move. Yes, the rhythm is dope. But what is the message that's going into your mind that you're going to adopt and then carry out in moments of crisis? Whew. That's a word right there. That's a word. Do y'all understand what I'm saying, though? Y'all feel what I'm talking about? I know that's a lot. Water. I'm going to say this and I'm going to move on. You must guard your gates. These are your gates. These are your gates. This is what in ancient culture, in indigenous culture, we call your gates. Your ears, your eyes, your nose, your mouth. Those are all your gates. You have to guard your gates. and be very clear about what you're letting in and what you're letting out of those gates. We in this society are living in such a toxic society that we're letting all kind of things in our gates, and then we're surprised, we are damaged, we are hurt, we are dismayed, we are depressed when those things that we've let in our gates manifest in our own lives. But we did not guard our gates. And listen, I'm not telling you or suggesting to you that you walk around just being this stoic, unlived, unjoyful person. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying you deserve, hear me very clearly. You deserve, you who are listening to my voice right now, you deserve to eat as high off the tree as possible. You don't need any low-hanging fruit. Low-hanging fruit are for people who are desperate and they just grab on to whatever. Children who don't know better. People who don't understand that they are the source of abundance, and so they just grab the first fruit that they can get their hands on. But those of you who are listening right now, I want you to understand that you deserve the highest fruits, the cleanest, most organic food possible. You deserve that. My sister Benny says we need to be clear about what we deserve, and we need to know that what it looks like, what it sounds like, and what it behaves like when it shows up. Oh shit. Asamalahaya, water. I'll drink to that. That's a whole word right there. That's why I told you got to be in the Crowdcast chat room. Yes, Shabazz, get that ladder up against the tree. This is the ladder. Let the Sojourner podcast be your ladder to get up the tree. All right, so let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. Yeah, Sister Benny got the mic drop of the day. I'm going to read it for you. For those of you who are on the Facebook and can't read her statement, I'm going to post it over there on Facebook for you because y'all ain't reached it there, and I'm going to read it again. She says we need to be clear about what we deserve, and we need to know what it looks like, what it sounds like, and what it behaves like when it shows up. Because that, the truth that she didn't say in that, is that most of y'all done let y'all real blessing just walk on out the door because it didn't look like, sound like, quack like what you really wanted it to do. That's what had happened was. So when you hear all this language, listen, all right, so let's go through it. I want to go through the tenets this week that we reached. So what's the solution to this, right? What's the solution? So the solution is twofold. The solution is twofold. We're going to talk about some tenets that I want you to imbibe when it comes to relationships. And we're going to talk about the process of recovering from broken relationships. Because let's be very clear. I want to be very clear with what I'm about to say. And the reason why I want to be very clear is because I don't want to minimize. I don't want to minimize the pain that many of us have felt through the process of broken relationships. And I would want you to understand that a failed relationship doesn't mean that you failed. You know the saying, when you lose, don't lose the lesson? Because the truth of the matter, and any real high-level CEO will tell you this, You learn more from loss than you do from gain. You learn more from losing than you do from winning. Right? Winning is you win because you've learned the lessons from loss. But because many of us refuse to learn the lessons of that losing is teaching us, we never get to win. So this is the thing. Go back, and this is going to be real male, but I recently watched Michael Jordan's documentary, that 6-part joint. If you go back and watch this documentary, Michael Jordan was with the Bulls about 5, 6, 7 seasons before he won his championship. And if you listen and if you watch the documentary, what they talk about is that every step along those 6, 7 seasons before he won, he was learning in the losses. And it's from the losses that he was able to craft his game so that he would win. I really hope y'all understand what I'm saying. So what I'm saying with relationships is many of you who are either perpetually single or perpetually miserable, inside of your relationships, you are losing the lesson. And until you get the lesson, you won't graduate to the next level of intimacy. You won't graduate into the next level of connection. You won't and instead what you will do is you will play the blame game. You will talk about how people how things outside of you are the problem. There are no good men. All the good men are taken. Blase, blase, Skippy. Where I live is whack. All the men where I live are whack. Women are just blase, Skippy. Women don't. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Sister Sammy says, people repeat the lessons that they refuse to learn. And look, boy, there are some hard-headed people that are listening to this podcast right now. Some of y'all are hard-headed. When it comes to relationship, you lose the relationship and the lesson. So you got to do them both over again, over and wait a minute. Don't let me forget the third version of what y'all got going on out here now. Don't let me forget the third version of what y'all got going out in these streets right now, which is the totally single person. You know the one that says, I'll just be by myself rather than I'll just be by myself and I'm going to just do me. And then if God bring me the person, I'm going to just stay here and do me until God bring the person. And I'm just going to be single. And listen. First of all, do you know in Black, indigenous society, there's no such thing as a single person? There's no such thing as a single person. The single person is an invention of the Greeks. It's an invention of Western man's philosophy. Most single people, and when I say single, I mean in a perpetual state of singleness. I don't mean that you're in between relationships or that, right? I don't mean that. There are periods of time, both inside of relationships and outside of relationships, where you're single. Y'all gonna have to think about that one. Think about what I just said. There are times both inside of relationships and outside of relationships where you are single. So I'm not talking about that sort of singleness. I'm talking about singleness in your mind, where you think that just you getting you and doing you is what's going to prepare you for a relationship. And that's bullshit. Let me tell you why that's bullshit. You don't learn how to swim by standing on the shore. You learn how to swim by taking your ass inside of the water and getting your ass wet. So for those of you who are trying to talk about, oh, I'm going to wait until you're not, you can prepare for a relationship now. If you're single, prepare for your relationship now is what I'm saying. But in your preparation for your relationship, you're not single. You're not single if you're preparing for a relationship, because in your mind and in your spirit and in your soul, you are functioning and creating the systems and clearing out so that you can be in a relationship, not that you could just be with by your damn self. That's white folks. I'm sorry. That's Western white folks stankin' thinking. There's no such thing as a single person. So yes, you are not in a relationship. You are in a relationship with yourself. But in preparing for relationship, we were made to be with each other. We are each other's medicine. Women and women, men and men, men and women. We are each other's medicine. Listen, next week I'm gonna have to bring Benny up here. She is dropping pure dimes on y'all. She says, wait. Wait as if your time on this earth is guaranteed. Come on now. Time waits for no one. Your time on this earth has no guarantee. Your time is now. Wow. Listen, can we get another drink for my sister Benny? She's on one today. She's on one. Wait. There is no waiting for someone to come to you. So what I'm saying to you is that the best way to learn how to be in a relationship is to be in a relationship. The best way to learn how to swim is to be in the water. The best way to learn how to cook food is to be cooking food. The best way to learn how to ride a bike is to be riding a bike. So the best way to learn or to prepare or to be in a relationship is to be in a relationship. And if the person hasn't shown up yet, that's okay. That's okay. You are still in relationship with other because you are preparing yourself. You're preparing your 50%. To take the 80s, 90s commercial, you're preparing your chocolate for their peanut butter. So when the time comes, when the universe aligns, when you come into alignment with relationship, you will be ready. You will be prepared. So again, don't listen to what I'm saying and say, oh, Soul's saying that you shouldn't ever be single and take that time to get your shit right. Yes, you should be single and prepare your time to get your shit right. You should absolutely use that time. Truth be told, you should do that when you're in relationships too. And that's another mistake that we make. Once you get in a relationship, you stop doing your damn work. Right? You stop doing your work when you get in your relationship. And this is the other side of the coin, because many of y'all, like I said, the only way to learn how to ride a bike is to get on the bike and start riding it. But the only way to stay on the bike is if you got to keep moving the pedals. Most of y'all get on the bike and now you want to coast. And then the bike. I just dropped the whole word on y'all. Water. Hold on, let me check what's going on. What's up, my sister Trina? I'm not calling you out, beloved. I am not calling you out. So this is the point that I really, because Valentine's Day is wicked. It's wicked. And it's wicked because Valentine's Day focuses on the product. It doesn't focus on how to produce it. And we can't talk about even producing love until we talk about how we're broken from being in the process of relationships. We're broken from those processes. We haven't gone through the mental health issues that we needed to. We got shit to work out, y'all. And there's no shame in that. Most of you all have a partner right now that you don't even see. Most of you are in a relationship right now and have mentally abandoned that relationship because you're looking for newer pastures. You're looking for an escape from the lesson that rests right inside of your relationship. Why? Because you don't want to do the work. You don't want to do the work. And if you don't want to do the work, then just be honest with yourself and don't waste your time and don't waste somebody else's time. Because there's nothing worse than being in a relationship, being in an agreement, being in a contract with somebody who's not willing to carry their end of the agreement, which is that we are working here. This is a work. But the movies and the songs don't talk about the work. I love this. The grass is always greener where you water it. Oh, shit. Listen, Benny, we need you to have a podcast, sister, expeditiously, if not sooner. The grass is always greener where you water it. And so most of y'all are out watering grass on the internet and neglecting the grass right up underneath your feet. And then you wonder why the grass looks greener on the other side of the internet, on the other side of the web. Because that's where most of y'all have relationships now, but especially since COVID. So them people's Instagrams is popping. You're like, oh, that's the relationship that I really want. Yeah, okay. The truth is you ain't going to do shit in neither one. If you ain't working where you is, you ain't going to work where you want to get to. Point blank, period. Now, I've taken some time up, but I want to talk about the solutions, and I really want us to talk about these solutions. And we went through them quickly last week, but I want to take the last 15 minutes or 25 minutes that we have, and I want us to slowly and meticulously go through the paradigm that you need to adopt if you want to attract a loving relationship, if you want to attract a loving partner or partners, if you want to attract a situation that nurtures you, so that you are working with a healthy paradigm and you can get rid of the stankin' thinking that snuck through your gates, right? You need to expel that shit, and I'm going to put some good shit in right now. Let us go. Let us do it. Now, here's where we're going. The first that I talked about, and I said it before, the first love tenet that we're talking about is that there's no shame and there's no blame. Now, this is what I mean and what's meant by this tenet. Most of us get inside of relationships or who are not in relationships. I see this all the time. Many of you see it all the time. How often will you go? You can go on the internet right now, especially because it's Valentine's Day, and you'll see some bitter Betty or some bitter Bob talking about how women ain't shit and how men ain't shit and they could do good all by themselves and relationships are overrated and blase, 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 blase. That's shaming and blaming. Because you aren't in a relationship, because you haven't come into alignment, universal alignment, so that you are connected with someone. Because you're not doing it, then you're gonna you're gonna take a dump inside of the whole swimming pool of relationships. So some of us, and I don't know if I'm talking about you, some of us are used to shaming and blaming other people. Some of us are used, you cannot operate. Let me tell you what shaming and blaming does. Blaming removes the responsibility from where all responsibility ultimately lies. To shame and blame someone else is to be manipulative. They're the reason why my relationship didn't work. They're the reason why I'm single. They're the reason why that I can't find no man. They're the reason why I can't find no woman. You're the reason why I'm unhappy in this relationship. You're the reason why our relationship failed. You're the reason why the marriage failed. You're the reason. Everywhere but the blame game of shame, my sister Jenna says. And so the first progressive love tenement is that we don't shame or blame other people for our situations. Listen, black and brown, indigenous, poor, working class, white people, there's a deep message inside of this first love tenet. Because many of us have turned into professional victims, which is the second tenet. There are no victims, there are no villains. Now that is a deep spiritual tenet that a lot of people ain't even ready to get to. That there are no victims, there are no villains. But then you would say, soul, what about the little child that is being beaten and abused as a child? Isn't that child a victim? And isn't his parent a villain? And then what I would tell to you, what I would say to you is, where did that come from in the parent? Where did that behavior come from? Where did that pain come from? Because what you'll ultimately see is every villain was ultimately a victim themselves. Do you understand? If you look at the statistics, you will see that most people that are creating harm were they themselves harmed. And so when you start to unravel that and you look at it in the grander scheme of things, you understand that it is the society, it is the container that is the issue. It is not the individual grains of rice, some that are getting burnt inside of this false container. And so when we say there are no victims and no villains, what we're ultimately saying is this. I want you to hear what I'm going to say. I'm going to take a drink of water before I say it. Most of you will not understand what I'm about to say right now. Most of you won't understand it. Some of you will get it later. We say that there are no victims and no villains because ultimately what we are saying is that we are the creator. We are the creator who is manifesting itself to have experience. And some of us come to have some really, and this is a judgment, negative experiences, and some of us come and have some really joyful experiences. But that's all judgment, because all the Creator is doing through us is having experiences. The Creator wants to experience it all. We are here to have experience. And so let's move on to the next one. I already know. I'm not going to even go that deep. Here's the next one that I need you to pay attention to. No cop-outs, no dropouts. Yes, I am talking. So these tenets, So somebody just identified where these tenets are sourced from. Kenya and Carl Stevens, who are my good friends. Kenya and Carl were the best man and the matron of honor in my marriage to my children's mother 24 years ago. We are also going to be working with them with a book around communication, and we'll talk about that next week. Yes, up-level communication. Thank you, Sasa. So Joy just inboxed me as I was talking because she recognizes these love tenets. So I'm just letting you know that's where we're going. Next week, we are going to talk about communication systems inside of our relationships, because many of us are in relationships and are not in relationships, and our communication's fucked off. We don't know how to communicate. We lose our temper. We raise our voice. We don't say nothing. We shut down. We're going to talk about, and we're going to institute a system on being on code inside of our relationships. So thank you for recognizing that, Joy. So as I was saying, though, let me keep it moving. No cop-outs and no dropouts. Some of you are so used to dropping out of relationships when it gets rough, when it's uncomfortable. Just like some of you will go to the gym starting January 1st, and by January 19th you quit. But you're looking in the mirror, trying to. No, you don't get by quitting the gym. Most of you want to have and experience love, but you don't want to do no love work. Listen, Ruby D, who was married to Ossie Davis for umpteen million years, something like 45, 50 years. She gave this piece of beautiful advice to people who asked her about what is the key to success for a successful relationship. I want you to listen to what this woman said. Ruby D said that the key to a successful relationship, listen to what I'm saying now. The key to a successful relationship is to have more marriages inside of your relationship than you have divorces. This is why you have to love the elders. This is why you have to love the elders. Do you hear the wisdom inside of that? I want you to hear the wisdom inside of that. I want you to hear the wisdom inside of what this beautiful black woman was trying to communicate. And if you're not careful and you don't listen, you don't understand what she's saying. For those of us who are in relationships and have been in relationships, you know exactly what she's saying. The key to a successful relationship is to have more marriages inside of the relationship than divorces inside of the relationship. Understand what she's saying. She's saying, yes, there will be times inside of the relationship where you are divorced from your partner, where y'all ain't getting on. You ain't feeling them, they ain't feeling you, y'all ain't getting on. For most of you, this is where you cop out and you drop out, because you're going through a period of time where you're not in alignment with your partner. And Ruby D is telling us those times are going to exist. She didn't say, listen to what she didn't say. She didn't say that there weren't going to be those times. What she said, and she didn't say that there was only going to be one or two. She said the key to success is making sure that there are more marriages. Because when you're in a relationship, you don't just marry someone once. You actually marry them every single day. You wake up and you decide that you're going to work inside of the relationship. Asamalahaya, water. That's the wisdom in that elder saying. The key to a successful relationship is to make sure that you have more marriages inside of that relationship than you have failures, than you have divorces. And that's how she stayed married 45, 50, 60 years, however long her and Ossie Davis. They were married till death do they part. They were married till death do they part. And now listen, I there's a caveat that I have for everything that I'm saying about relationships. There are people that you have chosen to be in relationship with that are not willing to do the work. That is a failed marriage. Now, at what point that you recognize that and say, listen, if you're not going to do the work, not that we're not getting on. Not that we're not getting on, but if you're not going to do the work for us to get back in alignment, then the marriage is a failed marriage. And you should look to alleviate or to move into a relationship where the person is willing to do the work with you. And anybody who is inside of a relationship or relationships, they know something that single folks just refuse to understand and much less imbibe and put inside of them. And that is, relationships are work. Let me say that in the camera. Relationships are work. And that's what you don't get on Valentine's. So if you're giving flowers and candies and all of that, then please understand. Let that be a reward to the other person, not because you love them. Let it be a reward that they wake up every day and they are willing to do the work. They're willing to do the work. And those of you who expect to have a beautiful field, but you don't want to till the soil, you don't want to pick weeds. I know that part ain't in the song. That part ain't in the movie. That part ain't in the video. The relationships require work. They require work. And we have to understand that, while at the same time, most of the people that are listening to this have been in multiple failed relationships. You have to, and I'm going to end the show on this, you have to let that shit go. And when I say let it go, I don't mean block it out. Because men, I'm talking to you now. We think moving forward is about cutting off rather than rectifying what happened in our past and coming to peace with what has happened in our relationships in the past. We have to make peace with our past. Next week's show. We have to make peace with our past. We have to come, as Ashley is saying, we have to come to peace with our past. And most of us have not come to peace with our past because we're judging failure. We think we're failures. We think something's wrong with us. We don't think we got the cutest shape. We think our booty's too small or too big. We don't think we have the cutest smile because somebody on Instagram got this. We don't think we are in full judgment of ourselves, and so we haven't made peace with our past. So listen, I only got through 3. What is my man Shabazz dropping dimes? Yeah. Of course he is. What's up, Shabazz? It's good to see you, brother. I love you deeply. Love you deeply. I am going to honor your time. It's Sunday. It's Love Day. I hope some of the things, we didn't even get to everything, y'all. We only got to the 3rd love tenet. And so I will drop and put those forward as we go. Don't worry. We'll go through the rest of them. We'll get there. We're here every Sunday at 10:10. Welcome to the new studio. The Sojourner Studios, Soul Power Studios are in effect. Wait till you see the background next week, y'all. Wait till you see what I got coming. So, I want to thank. So let me get some shots out. I want to give shots out to my sister Benny, who was just completely dropping dimes this week. If you can't see her statements throughout in the chat room, copy paste and put on some sticky notes around your house for this coming year. Right on, Sister Benny, for doing that. My sister who she dropped the tenant, Sister Heather, you got a float coming. You got a float. You are our water winner of the day. So you get the water award for today. Thank you for putting those tenants and posting them up in there. I am going to release those. They're coming. For those of you who saw my Facebook post, I have submitted my first book to my editor this week. I will have 10 to 14 days until the first draft is. By spring, I will have my first published book coming out to you, and it's talking about all of this. Thank you, Sister Jenna. I appreciate it. So, I want you to go off, drink a lot of water today. Enjoy, be in love with yourself. Extend that love outwards to the people that are in your life. Be grateful. I am so grateful to have had this time with you in this moment. I'm truly blessed. For those of you who are not members of Crowdcast yet, come over and put out a Crowdcast account so that we can talk. I'm talking to people. Some of you have had some challenges doing that. To all my people, what's happening, Sister Mary? I'm sorry I can't see everybody over there. Sister Ravada, I can't see all the people on Facebook, but real quick, shouts out to Ravada, to Ian, to my man Jeremy, to Ruth, to Rita, to Trina, my sister, my cousin Lanice, Nana, Liz, Christy, Mary, Cass, Barb, Clark, Shabazz, Ali, Jenny, Joy, Jasmine, Michelle, Ashley, Tanya, Gregory, Drew, Anthony. Thank all of you for joining me today. Y'all go love on each other. This is H Soul on behalf of the Sojourner Lifestyle Podcast. I'm in deep love with you. Till next week, I'm out.